What's up, humans, and welcome to a new Psicoactivo. Happy Monday, everybody. Okay, so I don't know if you guys noticed, but usually when there's a hearing or something big going on in Congress, we always have Matt Laslo from Ask A Pol to ask questions to these politicians. During the last hearing, I don't know if you guys noticed, but Matt Laslo was MIA. Full disclosure, he was supposed to do an interview on Psicoactivo right after the hearing, and we were supposed to message each other on that day, and Laszlo never responded to my texts. So I started getting worried, and he didn't respond to anywhere. So I started asking around, saw if anybody saw him during the hearings. Nobody saw him at all. And I even issued a tweet, which he responded, luckily, on the next day. So Matt Laslo is okay. He's finally back to working, and he came back with a banger. But yeah, Laszlo responded to that tweet. He said that he suffered the flu. Apparently, was really bad, but fortunately, he's back in action. So now we're gonna reschedule that interview. That is not important. It's important that he's okay, and it's important to hear what he took out of Representative Tim Burchett right outside of the Congress buildings. This is a really interesting one because I've always felt like Representative Burchett is one of the people from Congress who was already told a great deal or a lot of what might be going on. And there was a small moment where he was like leading all of this amongst the UAP caucus members. And then he kind of stepped back a little bit, and he allowed for Congresswoman Luna and Congressman Burleson to take over a little bit. The previous hearings were presided by Luna. Burleson also had a really prepondering appearance there. He showed that video. He got on record the witnesses from Dr. Stephen Greer, but we hadn't heard Tim Burchett that involved until today, because I don't know what the question was from Matt Laslo. I'm going to leave a link in the description to the full exchange, but I am going to highlight an exchange they had while walking on camera that Matt Laslo uploaded to X. He tried to upload it to TikTok, but the video is reportedly in review right now because of what Tim Burchett said. What did he say? So you can only have certain ideas of what these Congress people have in mind when they're trying to like define what we're dealing with based on what they are exposed to, what information, what witnesses, what evidence, all of that. But you really rarely get one of these Congress people so candid about what they think might be going on. And one of the most talked about topics since the year started, 2025, is USOs. And I already spoke to both Rich Dolan and Alan Levine, who wrote and made the illustrations for Dolan's most recent book on USOs. And I know, because of the people I talk to, that a lot of these Congress people are constantly talking to Navy personnel about USOs and about stuff that happens underwater. And then there's also the interest there is for different types of tunnel systems below ancient pyramids and stuff of the like, right? And there's the cryptoterrestrial hypothesis that is very preponderant in the as a possible explanation for the phenomenon. That is one of the possible explanations. I think that tridactyls, if they are 100% confirmed real after the DNA tests and after whatever happens in Peru, if there's an official confirmation, we can now start entertaining that idea as well, I think. And I think it's one of the potentially strongest possibilities that these tridactyls are cryptoterrestrial. They preside and live underwater and under the ground. So, with that said, let's hear what Representative Burchett said, and let's see what was the question from Matt Laslo, because in this clip, it doesn't really have a lot of context. I'm guessing that Laszlo asked what he thinks might be going on with the underwater and subterranean apparent activity. So let's see what he said. Yeah. Okay. So here it is. Let's see Tim Burchett on what he thinks might be going on.
What if these are entities that are here on this earth, that have been on this earth, that who knows how long, and that we, we think they're coming in from way out. Maybe they did millennia ago, but they're here and they're in these deep water areas, and that's why. I mean, like we say, we know more about the face of the moon than we do what's going on there, and we have a higher propensity of sightings around these 5 or 6, I believe, deep water areas. And so, to me, it just it creates a question there. And then when we have naval personnel telling me that we have these sightings and that there's these underwater craft they're chasing that are doing hundreds of miles an hour, and the best we've got is something that does maybe just a little under 40 miles an hour. So I got a lot of questions about that stuff, and I mean,
yes. So that really sounds like a cryptoterrestrial hypothesis without Tim Burchett actually mentioning it. Now, Laslo also posted this. They wanted to post that on TikTok, and it flagged the video. It says your video is under review and can't be shared right now. So this is TikTok potentially censoring Matt Laslo at Ask A Pol, which is kind of alarming if you ask me. But this is very similar to when Representative Eric Burleson does go a little further when he's trying to explore whatever this is. And I think that's something that should happen more often, but with people from the Senate, not just from people from the House, because I think, and the indications are that the people from the Senate are the ones that have been looking at more smoking gun evidence of whatever this is, because the 40 people who David Grush brought forward to testify inside skiffs and in classified settings, those people spoke to the Senate Armed Services Committee. And they're the ones that presumably saw videos and even more different type of proof of whatever this is. And I think that we could do very well if at least one senator came forward and started talking about what he knows or she knows. I can tell you the names that probably Ross Coulthard is not like willing to mention. The usual names that appear there that apparently probably saw something, like, for example, Senator Rounds or the former Senator Kirk McConnell, who is very involved in this, and he was one of the senators that saw some of this evidence. There are many more, but those two alone are already pretty significant. And if one of them came forward to talk more openly about whatever they saw, assuming that they don't get in trouble, because we know how that works, and I know it can be disappointing because people instantly jump at a conclusion that if you have permission from the government, that means it's not true. I don't think that's how it works, because I think that there is a lot of division within the government. If there is some sort of rogue element to the government, there must be a lot of people from the government that are not aware of this rogue element, and they're just starting to become aware over the last 5-6 years or so. So I think that Tim Burchett is one of them, and I think Herb McConnell is one of them too. So we do need to ask more of these senators to try and come forward a little bit more, and that only works by calling your senator from your district. That's how you do it, and you bombard them with phone calls and with different types of questions and asking them to be transparent on these topics and be specific. Don't be vague. Don't just go into that outlier and just say extraterrestrials. No, don't do what Arrow does. Do what Tim Burchett is doing. Try to be more niche. Try to be more specific in your question about possible and potential terms and try to be more varied in the different types of options that you use in order to give examples and whatnot. I think that's the way to do it. But I don't know what you guys think about Representative Burchett talking about the cryptoterrestrial hypothesis without naming it, but that's what he's essentially talking about. And do you have the same type of questions that Representative Burchett has about this? What do you think is the most plausible explanation of these underwater objects and all the tunnels and the tridactyls and different discoveries that have happened throughout decades, even centuries in some cases? What do you think is going on there? Do you think it could be cryptoterrestrials, or do you think it could be something like ancient civilizations? Let me know what you think. And note that Tim Burchett did mention at a certain moment that they've been here for a long time, but it's possible that they came from somewhere else. So he keeps like an open mind about that too. But the fact that there's been activity that is really suspicious around those megalithic sites and underground, that is something that is consistent around the world. It's not just happening in Peru. It's not just happening in the US. It's happening all over. And it has happened throughout history, all around the world. So, what do you think it is? Let me know in the comments. And what do you think about Tim Burchett now talking about this? Really interested to hear what you got to say. And thank you to Representative Burchett for opening up a little bit more about what he thinks might be going on. That level of bravery is needed amongst people like yourself and others who are in like positions of power. So that is really appreciated, I'm sure, by pretty much everybody around here. So let me know. If you like the content you see, I'm going to ask you to like, share, comment, subscribe, and hit the bell icon. That's all you need to do in order to help us, and it is what helps us the most. So thank you. But if you want to support us in other ways, there's a few links down there you can choose from. You can become a member on YouTube, or you can support us through KGRA. Anything you choose to do is always appreciated. So thank you. That's it for me today on this video, but I'll see you guys in the next one. And remember, stay curious and inquisitive like Representative Burchett. Always. Bye.